In the next 18 minutes, I'm gonna show you the exact steps to stop overthinking and to start building wealth now. I'm Lisa. I'm a certified financial planner and a financial coach, which means I help people build wealth and create a plan towards financial security, but I also help people build the confidence to execute that plan, to feel confident in their decisions when it comes to money. I truly believe that if you transform your mindset around money, it will help you take action and feel confident about your financial decisions. And all those things are gonna make sure that you are wealthier sooner than later. So if you have ever lacked any follow through with your money, or if you've ever felt stuck, like you're doing some things here and there, but nothing is changing, I want you to lock in. Here's how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna cover my Money Glow-Up system in this video, which is gonna help you stay focused and elevate your finances. You're gonna start now, and then next year, a year from now, you are not gonna recognize who you are. It's gonna be a literal financial glow up. By the way, if you want weekly tips to stay locked in, make sure you sign up for my free newsletter. I'll put the link in the description. Let's jump right in. The G is for goals. I am big on goal setting. I think that one of the keys to improving your finances is knowing where you're headed. You don't get in your car, drive around, hoping you end up at the restaurant, right? You have to know where you're headed. And even if you take a different turn here or there, you know that you're generally going to that direction because that's where you want to be. I don't know why in my head I was picturing getting to a Korean barbecue restaurant. I think I'm just hungry. You need clear direction because it's gonna help you take those steps towards that thing, towards that direction. For me personally, for a very long time, I did not have financial goals. I told myself,
I wanna make more money.
or
I wanna be a millionaire. I wanna prove to myself and prove to other people that I can do it, that I've made it.
now those are wishes, right? I think they're great for inspiration and bigger motivation, but I don't think they're sufficient enough for execution. Having that goal alone, I want to be a millionaire, is not enough information for you to execute a step-by-step plan. So, a goal. What is a goal? It is the object of a person's ambition. It is a desired result. It is something you can aim for. So the difference between a wish and a goal is a wish is a wish. It's what you want. But a goal has a built-in assumption that you have this wish in the future, something that you want, but there's also directed effort that you're gonna put in towards that future state. So it's not someday I wish I could have that or have this. It is this outcome is what I'm going to have over time after I do these actions. So there are tons of ways to set goals. I do a couple different versions. For example, I set annual goals, which are the things I want to focus on this year. What do I want to spend my time and energy on? In my business and my finances, I also set quarterly OKRs. This is a concept that I learned when I used to work at Google, and it's simply that you set these objectives and you also set key results. So objectives could be the bigger goal, and the key results could be what are things you can do, metrics you can track that actually show whether or not you're making progress towards those goals. If this is your first time setting financial goals, let's keep it simple. Write down some of the things you want in life that require money. The more specific, the better. I want to be able to retire is nice, but I want to retire by age 45 is better. So write out those goals, and more importantly, I want you to write out why. Why do you want that? To me, every goal should have a why behind it. If you want some more structure with your goals, you can use the SMART method. That means you're setting a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, quick pro tip, write these goals out. Don't just keep them in your head. Put it somewhere where you can see them, check in regularly, your notes app on your phone, a Notion template, a printout on your refrigerator, on your desk, and make sure you check on them regularly. L. L is for liquidity. You have your goals. If you want to lock in and become wealthy, you got to think about your liquidity. Liquidity is how quickly you can access your cash without paying any penalties or without having to sell long-term investments at a bad time. It's making sure that you have enough money, enough liquidity to cover all of your current immediate needs. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on liquidity because all of you already optimize for this, maybe without even knowing it. The biggest struggle people have with building wealth, in my opinion, especially when they're just starting and didn't come from money, is they keep everything liquid. All your money is in a checking account or a savings account or a high yield savings account. Everything is too accessible. And if everything is too accessible, none of it is being optimized for growth. We're gonna get there in a second. Now, all that said, liquidity is important. I want you to think about what liquidity you need. Here are 4 buckets you can think about. Your current needs, day-to-day spending, your emergency fund. Everyone should have this, and this is money that you have for true, unavoidable, unexpected emergencies. Short-term goals in the form of sinking funds. So think about money you need for things in the next few years and plan out how you're gonna save towards them. Anything further than a few years, we're gonna cover that later on in the W. And then also, I like having a flexible fund. For liquidity, sometimes things come up that you didn't expect, but they're not emergencies, so you shouldn't touch your emergency fund. So I like having a flexible bucket, and sometimes that could mean 10% of your monthly expenses, like an amount that you save up for, and that just sits there for you to pull from when you need to. Having liquidity is important because it's going to prevent you from going into debt, right? You need money to spend on a day-to-day basis to pay all of your bills. You need that because if you don't have liquidity, you might take on debt or you might sell investments at a bad time. The easiest way to get your liquidity in order is to calculate your cash flow. A little bit different than setting a budget. I like looking at cash flow using past data. So look at the last few months of your income versus expenses. Get an idea of where your money is going and then figure out, does this look right? Can I change it? How can I free up some more money? Again, if you want to build wealth, you can't just stay here on the L, on liquidity. We have to be able to look at other aspects of your finances. The O is part of your money glow up. You want to lock in. You got to think about your obligations. Obligations are promises that you have to keep. Primarily, this means debt. If you owe debt on a credit card, a personal loan, a student loan, if you owe your friend or cousin some money, that is an obligation that you have. Now, for consumer debt, like credit cards, personal loans, etc., these often carry pretty high APRs, which means you end up paying a lot of interest. The reason it's important to tackle your obligations and tackle your debt is because the longer you hold on to this, it's gonna slow down your progress towards that longer term wealth. It's gonna make it harder to reach the goals that you set in G. So if you did the L step, the liquidity step, and you looked at your cash flow, this gives you an idea of how you can approach your debt. How much money can you use towards debt on a monthly basis? I would recommend creating a debt payoff plan using a method like the debt snowball method or the debt avalanche method. These are strategies that help you attack your debt, prioritize it, and make sure it gets paid off sooner than later. If you're interested, I do have a free resource, which is a debt payoff spreadsheet template. I'll drop the link in the description, but it will help you organize your debts and prioritize how much you're gonna put towards each debt. This is really important because, like I said, if you hold debt, it's gonna prevent you from making big progress on building wealth. All right, you've set financial goals. You have an idea of what your liquidity is like. You have a plan for your obligations. W, wealth building. Wealth building is when you own assets that grow in value or generate income over time. For most people, this happens through the financial markets, stock market, bonds, diversified funds, index funds, mutual funds. As your wealth grows, hopefully the idea is that you consider other assets and other means of growing money. Think real estate, investing in businesses through other means besides stocks. Remember earlier when I said that a lot of people don't end up building wealth because they get stuck on liquidity, right? All the money you make is being spent on these current day-to-day needs. There's not enough being set aside or invested for wealth building. That's what makes this so important, because once you have those foundations down, you have your monthly budget, you have your debts being paid off. Now you want to start thinking about how are you going to build wealth. Building wealth through investing inherently has risk because you're putting your money in something hoping that it has a return. But it's so critical for building wealth because saving money alone, like as cash in a bank account, is rarely going to outpace rising costs. Investing helps your money compound, which means grow at a faster rate than just saving incrementally. And that compounding, the growth of your money, is going to help beat inflation. If your money is just sitting in your wallet or under your mattress or in a bank account that doesn't earn interest, the dollar amount that you own doesn't change, right? It's there, but the value goes down. So how can you approach the W in Glow Up? How can you approach wealth building? Well, first, I'm glad we already got some of your foundational stuff in order, right? Set financial goals, have liquidity for your current needs, any short-term goals you have in the next few years, debt payments. Now, if you see that you have extra money to build wealth, you have to think about how to prioritize. I want to make it clear there's not one right, perfect approach to this. For example, some people will prioritize retirement accounts, 401ks, 403bs, especially ones through an employer if your employer gives you a match. The upside for retirement accounts is that there are tax advantages, which means you save money either now or later on in retirement, depending on the type of account. Some people who don't have employer plans or who just want to invest more into retirement might choose to prioritize building wealth by buying investments through an IRA. Others who don't want to utilize retirement accounts might try to build their wealth through taxable brokerage accounts, meaning buying investments that you can tap into anytime you want. Remember, the goal is that you don't want to touch it, you want it to grow, but you can without penalty, which is very different from a retirement account. So start to think about your strategy and what you want to prioritize and just get started. Then you can decide how much can you invest consistently. Look at your liquidity needs that you already looked at from the L, your obligations from the O, and determine what is a monthly amount that you can be consistent with. Then automate your contributions. If you're not sure how to approach investing or what to buy, I have other videos on investing that you can check out, which get more into the weeds about how you start investing, what you can invest in, etc. The Glow is done, and that is a pretty solid foundation to help you lock in if you really want to build wealth this next year and beyond. So let's finish off this little acronym with the up part. How do you really go up? Well, the U is for upgrade. Upgrade to me kind of encapsulates a lot of elements of your personal finance. It is upgrading your entire money management system and continuing to level up over time. So you've laid the foundation. Your money's going in the right places. You have goals. I don't want you to stop there. There are still plenty of ways to upgrade your finances. You can eliminate more waste, continue to be mindful about spending and not spending on things that are just a waste of your money. Simplify your accounts. If you feel overwhelmed by how many accounts you have, the specific accounts you have, you can't track everything, simplify that system. Boost your income. Just because you've looked at your cash flow, your money in, your money out, doesn't mean you have to stop there. There are plenty of opportunities to boost your income. And finally, you're ready for your glow up. This is the area that is not an overnight thing, but it's also not talked about as often as I think it should be. But the P is for protect. Protect means you are incorporating strategies to shield your plan from worst case scenarios and from taking steps backwards. So two very practical ways to protect your financial plan are using insurance and basic estate planning documents. We already mentioned your emergency fund earlier, which is part of your protection and your safety net, but I don't want you to stop there. In the financial world, there are so many ways to protect your progress and to protect your wealth. In fact, this probably might sound silly to some of you who are more knowledgeable on personal finance, but before I took classes to become a certified financial planner, I didn't have a financial background. I never thought of insurance or legal documents like an estate plan. I never thought of those things as part of my personal finances. I think personal finance and I think budgeting, credit, investing, paying bills, etc. But when I took these classes, there was a whole course on estate planning. There was a whole entire course on insurance. So they are really big elements of your financial plan. Some examples include look up your current coverages, do an audit, what policies do you have for insurance? Health insurance, pet insurance, car insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance. Look at what you have, understand how they work, look at your deductibles, look at your coverage, and then adjust if needed. If you feel like you're not getting enough out of your health plan, maybe you switch to the next one next time you have open enrollment. If you think your deductible is too high for your auto insurance, think about changing it. This will impact your premium, but you want to make sure that it fits your situation. For life insurance, if somebody relies on your income, a partner, a spouse, children, you want to consider life insurance because if something were to happen to you, you'd want them taken care of. And something you might want to consider, the more wealth you build, the more assets you have, or if you are exposed to more liability, you might want to consider umbrella insurance. Now, aside from insurance, I mentioned estate planning and legal documents. These can include wills, trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare directives, and a simple one that you can do right now is to update your beneficiaries on every account that you have. Most bank accounts, investment accounts, and life insurance policies is going to have a place where you can add beneficiaries. So the GLOW is your foundation, and the UP is where you upgrade, continue to refine your money management system, and then you protect. You got to protect your plan so that one emergency or one crazy thing happening, one crisis, doesn't blow everything up, right? This is the glow up system, not the blow up system. Anyway, I know that was a lot, but if you want to lock in, I hope this framework and system helps you out. And honestly, these steps to me are actually the easier side of building wealth. What I see most often with clients is they struggle more with mindset and the emotions around money, especially if they didn't come from money. Whereas these things are more like a checklist. These are things that if you incorporate, you're in a better position than someone who doesn't incorporate these things. Now, if that sounds like you, where you do struggle with some of the mindset aspects of money, make sure you check out my video on the biggest mistakes that keep people broke so you can avoid them. Until next time, peace out.